We've seen more than ever this year. I think part of that is due to the upcoming lockout that's going to happen. Young players signing contract extensions. We've seen Pete Crow Armstrong in his second full season with the Cubs sign a big extension. We've seen Konnor Griffin, who just got called up to the majors, sign a 9-year deal, I believe it was. Yesterday, Kevin McGonigle, another top prospect, signed, was it a 10? I can't remember how many years it was.
Eight that starts
McGonigle.
Next year.
Starts next year. So essentially, we've seen, these guys are three of the, sensational young players. We saw it with Jackson Churio a few years ago. You've seen it maybe one or two a year, but this year you've also seen
Colt Emerson,
who's the Mariners, one of their best prospects.
Still hasn't debuted in the majors. They signed him. And the Brewers, this was a really weird one. I can't even think of the guy's name. He's a guy at Double-A who's not even their best prospect, who they signed a much smaller money than these other guys.
Yeah. The Orioles catcher, first baseman.
Samuel Basayo.
He signed a $67 million deal, too.
This year?
He was on the list that I saw of guys.
I somehow missed that one. I didn't realize they signed him. That also not as much. McGonigle and
Konnor
Griffin and Pete Crow Armstrong over $100 million. Pete Crow Armstrong's actually had a good year in the majors, but he's also a really young player. This is a trend, and the question is, will we see the Guardians do anything like this? And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to.
How does the sorry to cut you off, but how does the lockout impact this, and would it put more pressure on the Guardians to try and, whether it's
the Guardians don't feel pressure, unlike other teams in baseball.
Despite the fact that this lockout's impending, hanging over the clouds and everything, like, that's not going to make
the reason the lockout, I think, is playing a role is because I think the owners believe they're finally going to get a salary cap here. And to get a salary cap, there may be a no season the entire year, Jason. And they want some, and eventually, so you're going to have salary cap rules, but there'll be some contracts that on some level will either be godfathered in or they'll have time to get under a cap. And so you want cost certainty on potential star players.
I don't know the answer to this.
Yeah.
I feel like I had this conversation with Zach, but I don't remember what he said.
Yeah.
I think the clock continues to tick on service time. I don't think everything is stopped, but maybe I'm wrong. Because that's important.
I don't think so.
You think that?
If that happened, the players would have, on some level, incentive to not settle, I guess.
I think that the service time clock continues to roll, I think. But I could be wrong on that.
Yeah,
I don't know
we'll have to double check that.
Because
that's an important note on that. Yes, no doubt.
Are the Guardians going to – Cleveland has never been a team that's going to sign a guy before he debuts. They've never done it.
Yeah.
And
it's very rare. Before a guy debuts?
It's becoming more and more common.
But McGonigle
with the top guys.
We haven't seen it this year. I mean,
Cole Emerson.
Guys, the Emerson and the Brewers guy, but Konnor Griffin had made his major league debut. It had only been a week.
Yeah.
And McGonigle, it's been a few weeks.
And I'll even extend that. They've never signed a guy before he debuted.
Right.
And I don't think they're ever going to sign a guy who's only been in the majors 2 weeks.
That is not that common, but it's becoming more common.
Yeah.
I would consider it with Chase DeLauter. Now, let's say this. Two big differences between Chase DeLauter and McGonigle.
Injuries, right? There has to be one of them.
Yes, one of them is injuries, those guys, and Konnor Griffin. And those guys are younger than Chase, a little younger than Chase DeLauter.
Chase is what, 23? Is he 23?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Konnor Griffin's 19. What's McGonigle?
21.
21. That's a difference.
Yeah.
And number two, as Chase DeLauter's a great prospect, he's not quite as good a prospect as those guys.
Correct.
Doesn't mean he's not going to be as good, if not better, but he's not considered as highly as those guys.
Yeah.
Now, I would still, if I could get a deal in that ballpark a little less, I would do it with Chase DeLauter if I were the Guardians, but I don't see them doing it.
I think they need a full year. I think they would need a full year of evidence before they did anything.
But if you get that full year evidence, wouldn't he want way more money?
Well, it depends.
I mean, think about...
This is part of the reason why they have so much trouble signing guys, is because once the clock starts ticking,
Think about the Pete Crow Armstrong example, right? If the Cubs would have signed him a year ago, and maybe they were close, I don't know, they probably would have gotten him for $75-80 million.
Yeah.
Now it ended up being 120. I can't remember what it was, 120, 130. He had a great year last. Now a great half. First half he was an All-Star MVP candidate. Second half he was terrible. But overall the numbers for the season very good.
Right.
And they had to pay him probably 50% more than they would have, give or take. I don't know.
Well, also,
so the same thing could happen.
But also consider the last two
extensions that the Guardians have signed.
Yeah.
Andres Jimenez and Tanner Bybee. Jimenez never lived up to it,
Yeah.
and they got off that contract, and Bybee's off to
Yeah.
a really bad start. Didn't have a great year last year, and is struggling again this year.
Also, Pete Crow Armstrong, McGonigle, Griffin also a lot better defensively than DeLauter.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd still do it. In that range, I'd do it, but they won't. I doubt it. Earl, 60-second trivia. What do we got today?
Actually, we got another super chat.